afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. Yay. Yes, for Friday. I hope you all have some great weekend plans. It looks like it's going to rain in my area, so that'll be fun. But we're so excited to have you here, and we want to encourage you to ask questions today. We're going to also be talking about things that hopefully will be able to answer your questions before you even ask them. So I am Michelle Geidel. I'm the regional coordinator, and I will be moderating our Q&A today. And I would like for Tiffany to go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Thrift.
It is live, by the way, so we're good.
Okay.
Sweet. My name is Tiffany Thrift. I am the regional president. My home chapter is Alpha Psi Zeta over at Clackamas Community College.
And
I'm Jody Ayers.
Hey, Mommy, I wanted
I'm sorry. Okay, you want Charmander. I am your...
Okay, Jess.
I'll introduce myself first. As you can tell, Jody has full-time mom duties in addition to everything else that she does. My name is Jessica. I am the VP of Communication, and I am down in Roseburg, Oregon at Umpqua Community College at the Alpha Sigma Upsilon chapter.
Great.
And I'm Jody Ayers again, sorry. I am your regional VP. My home chapter is Beta Sigma Pi, and I'm out of Nampa, Idaho at the College of Western Idaho.
Great. Well, thank you to all three of you for being here today. And I'm glad that all of our schedules worked out so that we could be here to talk to the region and enjoy everything. So for all of you that could be on here, Jessica is going to monitor the questions that are coming through on Facebook. And so she will pop up if there is a question that comes up, but I am going to go ahead and start with a question, and I'm going to have to pull them up again. I apologize, they went away. So I think that the first thing would be, why did you decide to run for regional office? And so, Tiffany, I will ask you that first.
Okay. I think originally it was a challenge for me. I was already serving as a chapter president, and that was like when I began serving as a chapter president, I was kind of nervous about taking on a leadership role. It was something like I wasn't not used to being in leadership, but it was a different type of leadership. And so I was kind of nervous about it at first. After I got that year under my belt with my chapter, I wanted to challenge myself more. So I looked at the region, saw the opportunities, and was like, I've got to give it a try. And honestly, I'm really glad I did. I mean, literally it led to a second term. I loved it so much, so.
Great. And Jody, how about you? Why did you decide to run for regional office?
I just decided that so last year I became an officer real quickly. I went from a matter of being an active member to a chapter officer in a matter of weeks, it seems like. And after doing that jump so quickly, and I enjoyed so much what I did as a chapter officer, I wanted to see what the regional level, see what I could bring and what I could learn and what that entailed. So I decided, why not? The worst that could happen is I don't get elected.
Well, we're glad to have you on the team. Jessica, how about you?
Yes, so I was one of those obnoxiously early applicants.
You weren't.
I think I was one of those that was emailing before the application was available, asking when it would be available, because it was getting closer and closer to convention. I was like, I want to apply. But no, after I had gotten involved on the chapter level and I was really enjoying it, I actually I was looking at Catalyst because our team was planning to go to Catalyst, and I saw that they do international elections at Catalyst, and I looked at that. I was like, okay, well, deadline's definitely passed for that, and a little intimidating. And then when I was looking into that, I realized that there was also regional officer positions available. And so, yeah, I kind of immediately, I think, messaged Michelle about it. I remember talking to Marianne about the fact that I was going to run. And at this point, I had already decided to run for student government president, in addition. And she's like, also? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay. So yeah, I emailed Michelle about it, and yeah, I guess the rest is history. But I was all gung ho. But my decision was just which position to run for, and I chose Western District Executive, which was my position last year, because Gentine, who is an alum at our school, who works in our registration department, I think is where she currently is, had been the Western District Executive before me, and she had really loved that experience and recommended that position. So that's what I went for.
Great. Well, Tiffany and Jessica, I know that you have both, this is your second year. And so I want to talk a lot about this past year. So the last part of your first term to this whole year, as well as with Jody. So what do you think has been the most difficult part of your role so far, especially with, COVID and all the social distancing and computer meetings, yeah, all that stuff. So Jody, I think I'm going to start with you this time.
One thing, and this is kind of just in general, not necessarily particular to being a regional officer, it's the Zoom hangovers. I've had quite a few of those. My oldest is 6 and did online kindergarten for a while, and he definitely had those Zoom hangovers as well. The other part that's made it hard for me, since I went, as a member, I only got to attend one in-person conference, and that was fall conference right before COVID hit. And that's probably been the hardest part for me, is not seeing the whole region in person, much less last year was my first Catalyst, and this year is I only had the option for, or the opportunity for 2 Catalysts, and both of them were virtual. So for me, that's been the hardest part, because I am such a social person. I love being around others, and I'm a social butterfly and all the things. So that's probably been the hardest part for me.
Mm-hmm. Understandable. Tiffany.
I'd like to mirror a lot of what Jody said as a start, just because that I did get some experience with being in person, both prior to like being part of the regional team, and then I got one conference under my belt before coronavirus kind of took over and kept us all at home. I wasn't a stranger to the Zoom meetings. That's how we conduct our meetings each week, just because we are so spread out across 3 states. It allows us to stay in contact. So although there was Zoom fatigue that was added to it, kind of like what Jody talked about with regard to classes moving online and work is moving online, like that kind of thing. The meetings itself wasn't necessarily a struggle, I guess, for me anyway. But definitely that in-person element with conventions and stuff like that, and just feeling that energy was definitely a hard thing. And just continuing to keep that excitement for others. Like, I'm always the type of like, yes, let's do this, like PTK all the way. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's real. And so when I see other people like kind of losing some of that, I guess, excitement, because they're also feeling that like, oh, I just want to be in person. And so some of that, like, I don't know, it kind of dwindles some. And so I guess that was some of the hard part for me. Seeing some of that come back, which is super exciting now that everybody's starting to get more of that, like, okay, this new norm, whatever that looks like, feels a little differently. It's not so much as like kind of behind closed doors as much, I guess, does that make sense? So I don't know, I guess I would say that that's been the struggle.
Understandable. Looks like Dana and Alan says hello. So hello to both of you. Dana was also on the regional team one year, and Alan went to Portland Community College. She's graduating from Portland State University very soon in math. More power to her with math.
Oh.
So she's one of our active alum and we really appreciate her.
Yes.
So Jessica, how about you? What's been difficult?
I think Lavada really said it well at the international convention where she talked about like that this wasn't what we signed up for exactly. Obviously, when we ran in spring term, like we knew that spring would be virtual because obviously we were in the middle of a virtual convention at that time, and that there was a possibility that maybe fall would be, or like that summer training might look weird, or that fall would be distance. But we really could not have predicted that we would be sitting here, you know, getting ready for spring conventions still virtual. Like I think we were all hoping, especially those of us who reran, that we would get that spring convention that we were looking forward to doing in person and celebrating with everybody all dressed up and like, you know, without having to worry about social distancing and things. For me, the hardest part over the last year though has just been that, you know, I've just been dealing with a tremendous amount of personal grief. And there were a lot of times where I wasn't really sure that it was the right decision for me to stay on the team because I didn't feel like I was giving as much as I wanted to, or as much as I felt like the other members of the team were able to give. But the one amazing thing about regional office is that it is a team and that it's a family. And as much as I was struggling, you know, they were also struggling through things, and we all just kind of supported and held on to each other, and got through it together. And I can't imagine that I could have gotten through this last year as well as I did without this team. So I was really grateful that I was part of it.
Awesome.
I second that.
You second that? And I think that's also important. What you said, Jess, is that the team is very supportive of each other, because things have happened this past year that most of us would have never thought would, with the pandemic and then life in general. And so it has been really important that that support system has been there. And so this group has really shown what it means to support each other and give each other grace and just, you know, be there for each other. And that's what is really awesome. So I think that you all touched on very important things about what's been difficult this past year, but also too is that we're getting used to this virtual world, but there are different things that we're going to be able to do that are going to help with the team being able to actually see each other, which we'll be able to touch on that at some point later. So the next question is, what is the thing that you think will stick with you the longest with your experience as a regional officer? Jessica, let's start with you. Oh, or Jody, do you want to go?
I go.
Okay, Jody.
I wanted to touch on this, and you asked this question. I was like, oh, please me. Clearly, my personality is shining today. The family aspect that you guys were talking about, I knew that PTK in general was a close-knit kind of community, it seems. I didn't realize or anticipate how, sorry. Okay, no. Sorry.
Yeah, family, there's our nephew.
Yeah. They're one of the nephews. But the whole family aspect of how close I've gotten to Jessica and Tiffany and Michelle. And I know that not only on a personal, but if you want to look at it as like a professional relationship, I know that in 2 years, I can still see myself talking to all of them on a regular basis, if not continuing with a group chat. Son. So
we have a group chat on Facebook where we just are constantly talking to each other, regional business and other, just constantly yakking at each other.
Oh, constantly. I think I've gotten like 20 notifications today, if not more.
And we're all on different schedules. So there's the early birds and like the late birds. And like I message at like, 2 o'clock in the morning when something strikes me, and Tiffany messages like 6 o'clock in the morning when something strikes her. And it's just constant.
Okay, so Jess, how about you? What's going to stick with you?
I feel like It's hard. It's hard. There's so many things. And I wrote this question. There's so many things that I feel like I'm gonna carry with me. And it is hard to just pick just one. I mean, I know that I will never ever remember being hungry at anything that had to do with the region. I will always think about being stuffed to the brim because Michelle does not know how to let people go hungry. But I mean, I feel like the things that I'm going to remember, like that I'll take away beyond just like the family stuff that we've been talking about, are going to be like the service projects that we've done, because I'm really proud of them. And I feel like those experiences and the work that went into putting them together, and all the things that we learned from that experience. Because like, I mean, when we started it, I had no idea how to start like a service project. Like I had never really done anything on that kind of scale before. And now like, not only have I done it with the regional team, but I've done it with my school. And I feel like I could go out and, have bigger interactions with people in terms of like fundraising or like asking for things. And there's just a lot there. And I think that those experiences are going to continue to shape me.
Great. And Tiffany?
So my answer might seem a little weird, but I'll give some context to some of it. It's not really just one thing. I will mention that the family atmosphere for sure. I have to touch base on that too, because in fact, even though I really feel like I'm just reiterating everything everybody else says, but it's just that true. So I have to. On a silly side of things, I think one of the memories that I will always like kind of hold is the only conference that we were able to be together at, getting ice water dumped on my head, but more so the fact that
I was waiting for you to say that one.
Called security on us. And so, yeah, that was fun. But on like a more serious note, during our conference, our fall conference last year, and this is kind of more of a personal growth kind of thing for me that has just kind of stuck with me ever since it occurred. We had a member that I was hanging out with, shout out to the Wedding Crasher, you know who you are, who made a comment after a meeting about how when she first met me in a workshop, she felt that I was like an advisor or an instructor. And coming into being a regional officer, public speaking it was something that terrified me. I kind of touched base on it yesterday in my post. It's still not something that I can say I'm like, I'm not nervous about, and I go in super excited every time. No, that's not the thing, and I'm not going to lie to you about it. But the level of, I guess, fear, if you will, is not near as extensive as it was. If anybody that's watching was around when I got up on that stage a couple of years ago and a question was asked, that was the first time I learned that my arms will also turn red, not just my face, because I got that nervous, because public speaking is just something that scared me that much. So to finish a workshop and have someone that I had not yet met tell me that they thought that I was a teacher because I presented the material so well and I came off with confidence and all of these things that I just never thought I'd ever hear. And then to have that just unsolicitedly, I said that weirdly, but hopefully you understood what I meant. Just kind of said was just, I don't know, it was a moment that's just kind of burrowed into my head, and it's going to probably reside with me for a while, maybe 12 years down the road, like somebody mentioned yesterday.
I thought of another one too, actually. When I gave my speech running for regional office, and Tiffany's comment just reminded me of this. One of the advisors, I think, that was there, and I don't remember what school she was from, so if you end up watching this, I'm so sorry, but just know that your comment stuck with me. She came up to me like afterwards and she's like, so when are you running for president? And I was like, oh no, I'm running for Western District this year. Maybe, in the future I would think for president, whatever. And she's like, I meant of the country. And I was like, okay. I'm not thinking there just yet, but apparently I impressed her with my speech, which felt pretty good. And the speech that you write for regional office is just, is different than any campaign speech you ever write. Like, and it was my first, I've written a couple of them now. I've written 3 of them now, but I had only written that one. And you pick a topic in the honors and action topic to talk about, and it can be any one that you're excited about. And that just opens up like this opportunity to really speak to something that is important to you and to write a speech around it. And I don't think I'd ever really done that before, where I had full, like, kind of, I mean, you're within the topics of the theme, but I don't think I'd ever written a speech like that before. And it was really fun experience.
That's great. Okay, so it looks like we have a question from the audience.
Yes.
Alan asks, it's a 2-part question. So what would you say to somebody who is on the fence about applying for regional office? And then is there one thing you can share to motivate those people to apply? Tiffany.
Can I throw a cheesy like, I'm not branded by anyone, but I'm going to steal someone's slogan.
Sure.
Just do it. No, but seriously, like, it's a rewarding experience. And I know you can hear it till you're like, I don't know. I was going to say till I'm blue in the face, and that didn't make any sense. So my brain is apparently not working. Sorry. Like, you can hear it over and over again, but really getting the chance to actually experience it is something that you can only do if you actually try. One of my favorite quotes is that a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what they're built for. And that was one of the, I guess, motivating quotes that really pushed me when I first ran, because I'm very much the type of person that wants to stick inside of a comfort zone. I mean, it's comfortable. That's why it's called a comfort zone, right? So because of that, though, I end up limiting my own potential and my own abilities. And like, I don't even get the option to see my own abilities when I do that. So I would say, just do it.
All right. I think that's simple enough. Jody, how about you?
Let's see. I agree with Tiffany with the whole just do it if you're on the fence, because I was on the fence. I literally messaged the Eastern District representative last year. It was Elizabeth Carter. I was like, hey, what do you do? Because that was the position I was originally thinking of. I messaged Tiffany. Did I message you, Jess? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think we talked the first time after we did speeches last year.
Okay, maybe that was it. But I messaged quite a few people, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll do it. Like, I had to, discuss it with my family and my sister, and it's just, I don't know. And everyone was just like, just make a decision, Jody. Either you do it or you don't. And I put in my application, I did my speech, and I was just like, okay, like, I've done as much as I can. We just got to see how things go. And I'm really glad I did. The one thing to motivate people to apply, why not? Really, that's the thing I can say is, why not apply? Why not try? Mm-hmm. And if you have questions, message us, please, because we're more than happy to help. If you're on the fence, we can help you go either way. I mean, of course, we want you to apply, but if it does end up being something that isn't for you, obviously we'll support you 110% either way. So,
right. Okay, Jess, how about you?
Oh, there's a cheesy quote that's something like, you regret 100% of the chances that you don't take. Mm-hmm. Right. And like, I think that one of the things that, students in general are missing in their education experience is that they think, just go to class, come home, get the grades. And that's all you have to do to graduate. Right. And that's true. But you're paying to be here, or, something is paying for you to be in school. You should make the most of it. You should get as many experiences out of that as you can to further you as a person. And not just yourself as a person, but to plump up that resume, to get those scholarships, to apply for those jobs. Like, you want as many experiences to make that easier for yourself as you can. And yes, you gain so many skills on this team. And I think one of the things that stops people from running for regional office, for running for student government, for all of those things, is that they think they're not good enough yet. Like, oh, I don't have those skills already, so I shouldn't do it. Like, oh, I don't know how to do public speaking yet. Oh, I don't know how to run workshops. Oh, I don't know how to put a service project or a conference together. Well, of course you don't. You're a student. You're a student leader. You're learning. You don't have to come in with those skill sets. As long as you're willing to learn and try and push your comfort zone, that's all that the team is going to ask of you. They're never going to ask you to do more than you're capable of. They're going to try and nudge you out of your comfort zone here and there, but like they're going to help you grow as a person and develop those skills. And I think that that applies for anything that you're thinking about running for. And you can run for multiple things. I know at least one person who's running for student government and regional officer, and I 100% support that. Do it, because you will be amazed at what you're actually capable of doing. And the other thing is just that it seems like we do a lot, and we do, but this is stuff we do across the entire year. And really your weekly time commitment, when you're looking at your schedule and you think, I just cannot fit a 10-hour a week commitment or whatever you think that it might be. What you're really looking at is like your weekly meeting and like an hour outside of it on a most in terms of your week to week commitment, right? And then when it gets time to regional conferences or something, yes, sure, we do crunch down and have a little bit more going on at those times, so we know it's coming, Hallmark season. But I will tell you, as crazy as you think Hallmark season is on the chapter, doing it as a regional officer makes it so much easier to finish those Hallmarks as a chapter. Like, you just become a pro at writing Hallmarks. It's amazing. You're like, okay, I can do this. It's not even a problem anymore. Oh, and I think I'm actually answering the next question that's come through from the chat, but we can talk about it some more in depth.
You did. And actually, she asked that while it was going through my brain. Time commitment seems to be the big question that we get. And Jessica's right. I would say you probably average 2 to 3 hours a week, and that's not all at once. Excuse me. So you could, that includes checking your email, communicating with chapters, things like that. And it's true, when we get closer to conference and convention, we do spend some more time, but you, like Jess said, it's coming. And so to reiterate on anything else too, is that this does look good on resumes and college, applications, scholarship applications. I am more than willing to write letters of recommendation, because I have to have that go somewhere, all of the yay and awesomeness, into a whole letter, instead of just give it to them or, give them the money, tell them why. But it's, it looks really good. And because there is a full job description of your position, that really helps a lot, because employers and scholarship committees, they are looking for well-rounded students. They're looking for students that have good time management skills. And when you are a great student and you are doing volunteer positions, that right there shows that you have some sort of time management skills that they're looking for, and that you can do more than one thing. So of course, that's what they're going to want to see. And so I think that that's very important. And, there's fun, and there is a lot of fun. So it's not always about business. We do have a lot of fun. And I think, even though I'm over here on the coordinator position, I think it's worth it for everyone to apply. Just having the experience of applying and going through the process is great as well. So, and it's,
as someone who ran for international office, I can tell you that, like, even though I didn't win, I learned so much from that process. Like, it was, and I made some really amazing connections from it as well. Also, what is it that Dr. Lynn Titchener-Ladner says to put your regional office work as on your resume, Tiffany?
Oh my gosh, as soon as you asked, my mind
internship, is that what it is?
Executive intern, or
executive internship, something like that. I'll find it. I forgot.
So Kate has joined us.
Oh, wonderful.
And Faith and Ella are here watching from my chapter. Hello.
Hello. So yeah, great answers, great questions from Ella and Alan. Greatly appreciate it.
Students.
But yes,
I
it was Jody that said make sure to message and ask questions to the whole team. If you have anything that is specific to the process, you can ask any of us, and it's not that bad, not hard at all. So, all right, moving on. What skill do you think you developed the most? And I think a couple of you have touched on some of the skills, but Tiffany, I'll start with you.
Okay. I've already kind of mentioned public speaking. That's definitely something that I feel I have grown a lot in. Some of that then doubles over into confidence, which also, I guess, piggybacking kind of parallel to would be communication skills, which is apparently not a thing in today's live. So sorry about that. Words don't work for me today. But communication skills, written apparently is better than oral. And then public speaking, just in overall, just communication in general. My mind just went blank as soon as I realized that I couldn't talk. So my apologies.
Okay. I do think that Tiffany has grown so much over the last 2 years, and I do have to tell you that, because I remember when I first met you to now, where if I ask you, oh, do you mind, talking and doing that? Oh, sure. And you don't have the intense anxiety of wanting to be perfect at it, because we all know that public speaking, you're not always going to be perfect, especially because I think 95% of the speaking that you do on the regional officer team is on the fly. You're not scripted for the majority of what you do. So I'm very proud of you for that, for this last 2 years. So greatly appreciate it. And all of you step outside your comfort zones, and that's what helps you all grow so much. So Jody, how about you?
What skill?
Mm-hmm.
Skill. I don't know, because I'm already a people person. I think you guys have just expanded on that. I'm making me more people person. I think the workshops that I did for fall conference, that was definitely something that was outside of my norm, my comfort zone. I mean, I hadn't done I hadn't played with Microsoft PowerPoint since like high school, which was a while ago. So that was definitely interesting, and and then putting it together and presenting it, and just blowing through it. I did it in like 15 minutes or less, when the when the workshops were half an hour. It's like, yeah, Jody, let's chit chat for half an hour about this. Good job. But it just gave me it gave me more confidence in public speaking, I guess, and more of a structured sense rather than just kind of the impromptu that we do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like we should have answered this for each other, because obviously it's hard to be objective about your own growth.
True.
But like, I've watched Jody evolve from like the people pleaser people person to like a people driver people person.
Yes.
Like a motivator, like a let's get things done personality, instead of like a, oh, whatever you want kind of. And like, we've loved Jody all across everything, but she's willing to stand up and like ask for things or say things in ways that I don't think she did at the start. And then with Tiffany, I mean, watching the way that she commands meetings from the beginning, where she'd send out agendas and it was kind of like, oh, I hope this is okay, to being like, nope, this is what we're doing, and I put this together and let's do this, and like keeping us on track and getting us through our meetings. So I've watched both of them grow a lot in their roles. Tiffany over 2 years, but Jody just in this last year. It's been really cool. I had to learn how to put a newsletter together. I'd never done anything like that before.
And you did it
and
wonderfully.
The team, of course, that I'm like thinking, okay, I'm just gonna like mooch off of Danielle's beautiful design from last year and just put things in there and just like, copy paste the stuff in and just work off an existing template. Oh no, the team this at summer training was like, we want to do something new and let's find ways to incorporate videos and moving images and like this. And I'm like, okay. So I had to like, research a new template to try and a new program and then like figure out how it worked from scratch. And I'm pretty proud of, I didn't get as many of them out this year with everything going on as we wanted to, but we have one more coming for you, one more official one and a supplemental one, which will be coming soon. But I feel like I've done well, and she obviously agrees because she's mountain climbing me. This is my cat, Sakura, by the way. No, she's so.
Well, and I agree, Jess, is that you were like, sure, I can totally do that. But you researched, you did a lot of work to figure out exactly what we're going to use. And now in the discussions that you and I have had, it's going to be very easy for it to just carry on for the future. So I think that that's going to be great, and they have turned out amazing. So yes, congrats on that for sure. And so I'm excited about it. I think it'll be wonderful to have that. So I think that as a team, everyone brings such a unique perspective and personality to bring us all together as a team, because it's groups of people that you would never expect to put together, because everyone's from a different school, potentially a different state, different age group, everything. And so, we've had very young, under 18 before, all the way, up into in their 40s, and everything in between. So I think that that's important to know, that you're never too young and you're never too old to have this experience and be on the regional officer team, because Phi Theta Kappa, we know how much of an age range there is for the members. I think, what is it, like 9 to 99 or something like that? It's like like that wasn't in my wheelhouse when I was 9 to be thinking about that.
And it's exciting watching the opportunities open up more now that we've seen like a high school with a PTK chapter and now a high school student as an international officer.
Absolutely.
Like that's amazing.
Yes.
And that just like opens up like, well, like, do we need to be talking about dual enrollment differently in Oregon, and talking about getting PTK chapter recruitment information into high schools as ways to recruit them into our community colleges. And like every year something changes. Like a couple years ago when we had James as international president, he brought the what was it, convict scholar thing that he did, which was just incredible. Like so much amazing work was done. And then Lavada leading us through this whole last year with such poise and just I could see her influence and the changes to the way the international officer applications and the running was completely different this year than it has been previously. All of the finalists after the first round were all like flown out and expenses paid to get to Catalyst, where before candidates had to pay their own way from the very beginning. And it made it much more accessible for all schools. All schools had a vote this year, which hasn't happened before, where before it was only Catalyst attendees. And on the regional team, you really get to watch these things happen. You get to be part of the discussion for these things happening. And it's really amazing to watch this organization, which is already top tier. PTK is already top tier, and to just watch it like refuse to settle for where it's at and continue to push is really, really cool.
I agree, definitely. So we have the last question that's in our list of questions, and I might be able to come up with another one, but I want you all to think about this because I might answer this first to give you time to think. But it's describe a favorite unexpected memory from being a regional officer. So I am going to start with, for doing this for so many years, every team gives me these different memories that live with me forever and are usually stories I will tell later. And, not to embarrass anyone, but it's just, it's the kind of, fun that we all have. But with this year, my unexpected memory happened during the officer training, because not all of you know, but we were actually able to safely get together in Bend this year. And if y'all aren't aware, it was during the wildfires, and it was chaotic. Flights canceled. I had to drive, Jody and Caitlin to Portland, and it just crazy. Tiffany wondering if the fire was going to touch her car. It was just a lot. And I know that when Jess was coming from the Roseburg area, it was the same thing. So glad Gunnar was with you. But my favorite thing was when you all were opening the fun stuff in your training packets, and we were all on separate tables. We had 6-foot-long tables to ourselves. And that's how far away we were from each other. And Jody was next to me. And all of a sudden, almost a high-pitched squeal, I hear, "Squishmallow!" Like really loud, so loud. And I was like, huh? She's like jumping up and down, like totally excited about this Squishmallow. And the other girls were like, what? They hadn't gotten to that yet. And because I think she just pulled it out and thought it was the best thing ever.
Well, yeah, they're so soft.
But I'm glad you liked it. So just the enthusiasm and the ability for us to all be together really, really helped. And so for those of you that are wondering what things might look like this coming year, we're hoping that we'll be able to do the same thing, and it'll depend on whatever is going to happen today or the following day, because it's different all the time. Mm-hmm. So I can't make promises to what the officer training is going to look like. It's my hope that, by sometime in the summer, that won't be an issue for everyone to get together. And hey, pipe dream, maybe, fall conference could be in person. Who knows? I don't think so, but I'll try and be optimistic. But yes, that was one of my unexpected, funny and hilarious memories that I'll keep with me. Alwyn just said, Squishmallows are amazing. And yes, they are. I have one in a box behind me that still needs to be put on my desk. So they're great. It doesn't matter how old you are. Stuffed animals are awesome.
Amazing.
So Tiffany, how about you?
So I have a memory. It's actually from last year. But it's one of the memories that, like, as soon as I saw this question, I was like, it was the first thing that popped into my mind. And I'm sorry, Jess, if it ends up being yours too. However, during our fall conference, the last one that we had in person over in Idaho, we were working on our service project and decided to create a video to announce everything. And we got super creative. Caitlin's face was all like makeuped up. Danielle did a great job. And I made myself lightheaded trying to give y'all that smoke that you guys seen coming from not actually Caitlin's mouth. That was coming from me and behind the scenes. But my favorite part in all of that, as weird as it sounds, is getting to watch Danielle push Caitlin into the pool and like get that interaction and like just the excitement of knowing like we have one take and that's it. Like if it does not go, we're in trouble. And just like we were all trying to be like hush hush because we didn't want anybody to know what the service project was. So we're like trying to hide in the parking garage, and like anytime somebody come around, we're trying to act all like nonchalant while we're randomly in an alley. Like it was fun. Like at one point Danielle was on top of a garbage can dropping cotton balls. It was just a really fun time. And I mean, the entire thing was to go to serve because it was for Socket to Winter, which was last year's service project, or 2019, if I want to be more specific. So it's been a minute. But that was my first a like chance of making a like service project at such a large scale, and to have so much fun in just the announcement itself really just kind of, I don't know, it stuck with me, and I'm sure it'll stick with me for quite some time. It was a really fun experience, and the outcome was amazing too. So
exactly, because this region is awesome with service. It's always been our strong suit for years and years, and I think it will continue to be that because we just have servant hearts, and the amount of understanding of servant leadership with our current leaders and our past leaders, as well as our chapter officers and chapter advisors, this region just gets it. And so I think that's really a great thing. So Jess, how about you?
That's so fun. I didn't even think about the video when I was thinking about how to answer this, which is crazy because I spent so much time working on it. I was really sick that trip too, and I like sat in my room editing the video together so we could release it the next day. But yeah, it turned out really well. It was really fun. Like watching Tiffany, like I wanted her to like spin around like she'd been blown away, and she could not do it with a straight face. That was great. One that sticks out to me is when we were able to do, you know, in-person things. One, we went and did a we went and did an escape room as like a team building exercise, and it was like a wizarding themed one, and like we busted through that thing and had our name up on like the top of the board for like months afterwards apparently. And then we ran into a random store, and like they got a video of like those chickens where you like
it was
Halloween store, and it like where it makes that really obnoxious sound when you like, oh, that's the rubber chickens. And we're playing the video in the car, and we were all just completely losing it, dying laughing, no idea why, ridiculous. But the one that actually came to mind, because I wasn't thinking about that, was during the toolkit that we did in Tillamook Bay, and we were on the coast, and we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for dinner, and so we were driving down the coast trying to find some place. Yeah, Michelle was driving down the coast trying to find some place, because like that road there cuts back in away from the coastline for quite a while, and then it comes back towards the coast. When we wanted to see the ocean, I wanted to see the ocean. I was really just insistent upon wanting to see the ocean because I hadn't gone to the coast in a while. So we finally found some place to like eat that was on the coast, like down a ways from our hotel room. But of course it was like completely foggy and you couldn't see anything at all.
And 8 o'clock at night.
But Michelle did her very best to get me a view of the ocean that night.
And we got a sample of your writing on the way home.
Oh yeah, and then I read some of the book that I was working on to everybody on the way home. So yeah, I don't remember how I started doing that, but it happened, and I was reading. It was fun. From this year, I feel like Jackbox has taught me exactly how competitive a person I actually am, especially murder trivia. Yeah, I'm a little bit competitive. It's okay. There are worse things to be, I suppose. But yeah, it's just been a lot of little moments like that. It was really fun watching Tiffany get doused in ice water.
That was fun.
Yes, it was. It was great.
And taping Danielle to a wall. That was fun. Was it Danielle or was it?
No, it was Sarah.
Sarah, yes.
Sarah Vargas. Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
All at my school for that one. That was interesting. But great answers. And I think that there's so many things the memories that will continue to stick with you. You know, road trips last year, singing at the top of your lungs, one of the officers talking to cows at a rest stop. You know, it was good.
I remember hearing about that one, but I wasn't there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Jody.
So the main one I can think of is Tiffany got a picture of this. It was when we all got together and we were waiting to go eat at Olive Garden. and we were outside social distancing with our masks, you know, doing the things. And we wanted to get all of us in a picture. And I'm like behind these weeds, like sticking my head out, hiding. And it was just, I felt like that was a really good way, just how everybody's expressions and the excitement and the fun we had. Plus, I mean, we were waiting to go eat at Olive Garden. Hello, food. I really feel like that's a really good representation of what we got to experience. And honestly, like, yeah, it just, that whole time we spent together was probably like the best part.
That doesn't even include like how difficult it was feeding us in that particular training because of the wildfire smoke. So many places closed.
Yes.
And so like we kept like figuring out what we were going to eat, and then we call to order it or try to order it, and it wouldn't be available because they were closed because of the fires, and we'd have to try and find something else. Oh my gosh,
we learn about planning. We learn about planning in the most unexpected ways.
Yeah.
And being flexible and adaptable, as our futurists would talk about. It's a very important skill, adaptability.
It's very true. So I'm assuming we still have a couple people on, or a few. Are there any more questions? We don't want to take up everyone's Friday evening. So do we have any more questions coming in?
Maybe last call for questions, and then while we're waiting, if you have another, you said you might have one more, Michelle?
Yes, I was just thinking of it, and it totally, again, I'm having one of those days.
Friday.
Yeah, it is. It's Friday. Well, for those of you that are still on here, we are looking forward to spring convention. This team has some wonderful surprises for all of you, and registration will be available soon. And so you're going to want to be on top of getting your registration in. Just saying. On the
week.
So, what, Tiffany?
I said you're gonna wanna.
Yeah, definitely. So we're excited about that. Okay, so Owen just asked the question of all questions. Are all of you graduating this year and not returning next year?
I think maybe we should talk about our plans, because I think it speaks to what the regional officer experience offers us in terms of what comes next.
Jody goes out of the screen.
So we're turn it into a more positive spin, right? Like, yes, the short answer is yes, but let's talk about what we're doing next. So Tiffany's already in the midst of what she's doing. So you want to start?
Sure. I actually have been hired in my field, and I'm currently working at Clackamas Community College as an accountant. Although it's part-time right now, there is the opportunity for full-time come summer. So once I finish with classes and complete up my term this year, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on that, as well as working towards furthering my education, looking at my bachelor's and maybe beyond. And you know, I'm not opposed to checking out that alumni association, see what they've got going on. But as my time for regional office and active member, yeah, it's time to put all those skills that I've learned over the last few years and really put them to use. And I'm really excited about it because I'm already seeing the fruits of that labor, if you will.
Awesome. Jody.
So I actually got my diploma at the end of mid-December. So I am officially a college graduate. Thank you. It's a big deal for me. I am also pregnant right now with baby boy number 3 due at the end of August. So I'm going to stay home with him for a year. And then I got my degree in medical admin support. And so hopefully when baby's about a year old, I'll get back into the career. But in the meantime, like Tiffany mentioned, I'm not opposed into looking into the Alumni Association and seeing what fruits can come from that labor. But yeah.
Great. And Jess?
So I am not finished with my school journey, but I am finished with my 2-year school journey. So I will definitely be an alum of PTK next year. However, I applied to a lot of really big, scary schools, Ivy League and adjacent. I have already been accepted into the University of Rochester with basically a full ride for tuition and fees anyway. So I'm very excited about that. And I have an interview next week with Yale.
Yay!
So, and I attribute getting so far to all of my amazing experiences within student government, regional office, PTK. Honestly, I don't think that they would be looking at me in the same light if it hadn't been for this experience. I don't know that I would have been brave enough to try, even if they would have looked at me if I hadn't done regional office. And technically, I probably should have finished last year, but I decided that I just wasn't ready to let go. And I didn't apply to all those big, scary schools last year, but my sister did, and she did quite well. She got into Columbia School of General Studies, and she's at University of Rochester now. And so I was like, well, we're very similar people, but she did more work in school, whereas I did school and extracurriculars. And I was like, I bet I might actually have a shot at this. So I decided I'd stick around for a year, take a couple classes, do all my student government stuff, and so glad that I did, because even if I don't get into Yale, the fact that I've been offered a person-to-person interview with them is really exciting. I'm very scared. So I've applied for their Eli Whitney program for non-traditional students. I've also applied to Brown, Princeton, Harvard, Smith, Sarah Lawrence, and then a couple of smaller schools as well. So, and Cornell, but Cornell already said.
I just want to say, Jess, that we are all so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I'm also getting married next month, finally. Finally. I'm supposed to get married last year before spring conference, before Catalyst, and then COVID. So, finally getting married. Yes, I am excited to see these lovely people right here in person, because we will all be gathered together to bring spring convention to you, so that we can make it just the most amazing experience, and to give us a chance to see each other in person one last time. We're on the route to getting through this, and we're so excited. I cannot wait to see them. I miss them all so much.
Yeah, we've all been in little boxes for a while.
Literally.
Literally.
I was going to say boxes.
When Tiffany came down to drop off some stuff for my chapter, like months and months and months ago now, it was just like the best thing ever. I haven't seen her since then.
People!
Well, let's see. When I dropped off all of the blankets at Tiffany's house, we stood outside and talked for over 2 hours.
Adam fell asleep in the car.
Adam fell asleep in the car. My husband fell asleep in the car. It was raining, so we stood in the garage. And yeah. So yeah, that's when you know that, I mean, I probably would have talked to her for 2 hours no matter how long it'd been since I'd seen her. But when you go that long without in-person humor, okay, good night. Human interaction, that makes a difference. So
Alwyn asked, Tiffany posted it.
Okay. It's not in person. We have found a way for the team to be able to be together to present workshops and general sessions and the awards gala in person, just the 4 of us at this point. I wish it could be, but it's just not possible this year, unfortunately. But
it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and we're all world shoes at putting on virtual conferences at this point, because we got an extra one in on the rest of the region, or the rest of PTK, because we had spring last year where a lot of them had already had their spring convention or had to cancel.
Yeah,
we were able to switch gears and offer an entire full force convention virtually, whereas some of them were just doing their awards galas, and we got to do workshops and everything. So and then we did fall conference, which I thought went really well. And now we're like amping it up a little bit further, just a little bit more. Spring.
And that's true. So we do wish that we could see everyone, but we know that this is, like Jess said, a step in the right direction. It's what we can do right now. And, we're excited about that. But So it's 5:30. I want to go ahead and wrap it all up so everyone can get dinner, or Jody can figure out what her kids are doing
and sneak off and eat bites of her dinner.
I do just want to say, if anybody is watching the recap of this later and you have questions, feel free to leave them in the video. We can go through and answer them in the comments, or email any of us and we'd be happy to talk to you, or message on Facebook. You know, whatever works best for you. We want to make sure we answer any questions, but we would love to see, you know, lots of beautiful faces running for regional office. So
yes,
to kind of piggyback on that, no question is too big or too small.
No, absolutely not.
I'd hate for you to feel as though your question is something that could be holding you back, but it's something that you feel might be an inconvenience. Nothing is an inconvenience. Ask away.
Yep.
And I am putting together a kind of regional office, running for regional office, like kind of cheat sheet. It's going to be in the same format as our newsletter, except that it has all of the information from the Facebook posts that we've had. It also includes the officer descriptions, and then what to expect after you apply, and just some other information. And this video will be included in that as well, for anybody who wants to view that.
Great.
Share with your chapters. Share with, if you're an alumni and you have access to your chapter, make sure that they see it. If you're a current member and maybe you're graduating, share it with your chapter. At any rate, share it with your chapter.
Share.
Sharing is caring, as Maverick would say.
You can share this with your chapter Facebook pages as well, I believe. So definitely do that.
We just had a new person join, so.
Oh, okay.
Again, Sherry, we were just saying, thank you for joining. We're sorry that it was a little bit late for you. However, you'll be able to rewatch the video, look at all of the questions that we've answered, and ask any additional questions that you have in the comments, along with anyone else, and email us if you have anything you need to know.
Great. Well, I want to thank everyone who was here. Thank you for asking the questions. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you to this wonderful team for being here this evening. And I'd love to see everyone's faces. It's wonderful. And again, please feel free to contact us anytime. We're always here to answer any questions. And stay tuned for all of the announcements about spring convention. It's going to be totally tubular. I want to point that out. All right. Well, we hope you all have a great night, and we hope to talk to you soon.